Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I am Lanisha, the plant-based Maven Chef, and today we're going to show you how to make a low-carb, gluten-free, plant-based spaghetti. It's going to be savory, it's going to be tasteful, like you're going to love it. By the way, I'm from Texas, so if you hear that Southern accent come out, don't mind it. See, Southern, that ain't even a word. Anyway, ingredients. Okay guys, here's the ingredients. Spaghetti squash, spinach and arugula mix, Beyond Meat for those who don't want to make their meatballs from scratch. And then you have your black beans, organic, no salt or low salt. You have your sun-dried tomatoes. You have some Roma tomatoes or plum tomatoes, shallots, a can of tomato paste, your garlic, flax seeds, mushrooms, parsley, fresh parsley, slightly dried basil, breadcrumbs, and one of my favorite is a plant-based cheese by Veal Life, but it's mozzarella. So good, so good, so good. So those are your ingredients for the spaghetti squash with plant-based meatballs, all right? Okay guys, so first to make it easier to cut, because spaghetti squash are extremely hard to cut through, just go ahead and get a fork and just stab a line. It just makes it easier and releases some of the pressure for you to easily cut it, okay? All right, so you're gonna cut all the way through and push it open, oops. And this is what it looks like on the inside. Spaghetti squash. All right, all this in here, you're gonna actually just take out. You can disregard this, you can keep it and puree it, whatever's up to you, but all this needs to be gutted out before we get to the next step, which is a little salt and pepper, and then we're gonna put it in the oven. Completely gut it out. I cheated, I used a spoon to gut it out because I have extremely small hands, so it will take a very long time to gut it out by my hands, so I just did it with a spoon. Once it's completely gutted out, then you poke holes with the fork on the back side of each side. There you go. This helps release the air as well as cook evenly. Salt and pepper the top. On a baking sheet, olive oil, a little olive oil or grapeseed oil. Those two oils are really, really good to digest. And then oven, 400 degrees, 30 to 45 minutes. Guys, so now we're going to make our tomato sauce. I usually make my tomato sauce from scratch. It just has way better flavoring. Let me turn this down, hold on. Y'all can't hear me. Anyway, I usually make it from scratch and I let it cook for like 6 to 8 hours. It's just so much more flavorful. You can taste all of the spices, but for time and for people that are actually new or don't cook all the time like I do, I'm gonna show you guys a little easier way to make it. It's still a little semi-homemade, but it's easier than making it completely from scratch. All right, so if you just wanna bypass even the semi-homemade, then you can get a really, really good brand, like I said before, from Whole Foods. It's their organic 365 pasta sauce. You can use that. You can add some of your herbs and some of your spices to make it your own, and there you go. But for those who want to make it a little more homemade and you got time and you enjoy cooking, I'll show you. All right, so you have your Roma tomatoes, shallot. You have your Hunt's organic tomato paste, and then some sun-dried tomatoes. And of course, veggie broth. All right, this is kind of like the base to make your homemade, semi-homemade tomato sauce, all right? Okay, y'all, by the way, I am a cut board junkie. Like, seriously. I buy so many cutting boards, but this one is like by far my favorite. Can y'all see it? It has holes in here. So you cut your items up and then you just toss them in the hole, right? Oh my God, like I fell in love with this. This is heaven for me. So now we have our sun-dried tomatoes, chopped up, half a shallot, and 3 cloves, all right? Okay, so guys, so now we're going to make the homemade tomato sauce. So first, you're gonna heat the pan medium heat, get you a little bit of grapeseed oil. Like I said before, grapeseed oil is really, really good for digestive system. I'm gonna use also a little bit of the sun-dried tomato oil, just because it already has flavor and stuff. You're gonna drop in your shallots and your garlic right into the pan. Stir it up a little bit. Let that cook down. See that starts to smell good. Absolutely love garlic and I love shallots the way it smells cooked. So now we're gonna put the tomato paste in here. So hard to get out of the can. Ugh. All right. We're gonna mix that up a little bit with the shallots and the garlic so it's evenly coated. And then now we're gonna add the tomatoes. By the way, guys, when you're making homemade tomato sauce, always try to buy overly ripe tomatoes. It makes it that much easier to cook and it cooks down faster. All right. Next, we're going to add some vegetable broth. Probably about 2 cups. I got to do better with my measuring, but 2 cups. About 2 cups. And then we're going to add the sun-dried tomatoes. All right, guys, so now we're going to add the spices and the dry herbs. So you have a little basil, lightly dried basil. I would say about a tablespoon. I love basil. A little oregano, probably about half a teaspoon. Told you guys I have to be better on my measuring. A little bit of red pepper flakes. I would say half a teaspoon. You can do more if you like, depending on if you like it spicy. Half a teaspoon of paprika. Half a teaspoon of onion powder. And half a teaspoon of garlic powder, right? I'm gonna stir that up. Let this get to a boil. Then we're gonna add a little more pepper. Not done, guys. A little Himalayan pink sea salt. Pink salt, excuse me. Probably a half a teaspoon of that. And then to balance it out, anytime you do like a lot of spices, a lot of things that are salty or have that type of like salt flavor, then you always have to balance it out with some sugar. So I'm doing about half a teaspoon of, I would say a teaspoon of sugar. Cane sugar. Crazy, right? Some people like, you put sugar in your spaghetti sauce? Yep. All right, so we're gonna let that cook. Once it comes to a boil, it looks like it's coming to a boil, you're going to turn your fire down on low and you're gonna let it simmer. And it's just gonna cook. Now it's time to make the plant-based meatballs, which are non-Beyond Meat. You have your black beans, you have your quinoa, your breadcrumbs, your flaxseed, and all of your spices. Okay, this is one of my favorite brands. It's called True Roots. You can get it from Whole Foods again. It's organic sprouted quinoa, and it only takes about 15 minutes to cook, which is good because normally quinoa could take 30, 40 minutes. But you do a 1.5 cups of water or veggie broth, a cup of quinoa, let it come to a boil, and then just let it simmer for about 15 minutes. Okay, while the quinoa is cooking and the tomato sauce is still cooking, of course, we have about 5 minutes left on the spaghetti squash. We're gonna make the balls, the plant-based balls, not the Beyond Meat, but the actual homemade plant-based balls with black beans, quinoa, which we're waiting for it to cook, of course, flaxseed, which now it's flaxseed egg, and I'll show you guys, breadcrumbs, and a little bit of spices, all right? All right, so we have the black beans. So with black beans, you can use a food processor, but when you buy canned black beans, they're already a little soft and you don't want to over mash the beans. So I normally don't really use the food processor. I just use a potato masher and mash it up a little bit until you can see the consistency of it being like kind of a little like mashed, but not completely mashed, okay? Next, we're going to add the breadcrumbs. These are gluten-free breadcrumbs. This, of course, as well helps glue everything together. So you have breadcrumbs, You're gonna have 2 cups of your cold cooked quinoa. And then you're gonna do a tablespoon. Oh, I got beans in there. Oh well, it's all going in the same place, right? You're gonna do 2 tablespoons of your flaxseed egg. So all I did here was I added 3 tablespoons of flaxseed and then 5 tablespoons of water. Let it sit for about 10 minutes. I had to think about that one because I couldn't remember. Let it sit for about 10 minutes and then it gets into like a glue consistency. Kind of looks like the egg. So this is what helps bind our items together as well, all right? So then we have some basil, a little bit of parsley, fresh. You don't have to use too much because fresh parsley is extremely strong, right? We have onion powder. Gotta have that garlic powder. Garlic for everything. Oregano. I already did that one. I already did that one too. All right, and then some fennel seeds, just a little bit. All right. You're going to mix all that together. I'll show you guys. I'm about to get dirty. This is why I wear gloves. All right. You mix it all together completely so everything is 100% combined. The fold method is probably easier. All right. Our last ingredients for the plant-based balls is liquid smoke. This is what helps, gives it that meat flavor. You'll see a lot of plant-based chefs or a lot of people that cook plant-based food use liquid smoke a lot. Like I said before, gives it that meat flavor. You'll see a lot of plant-based chefs or a lot of people that cook plant-based food use liquid smoke a lot. Vegan. Remember, always get vegan. Have a tablespoon of that. Goes right in there. And then at the end, we're gonna add a little pink Himalayan salt and a little pepper. And then I'm gonna show you guys how we form the balls. Extremely easy, all right? Okay, so now we're going to prepare the Beyond Meat plant-based balls. So you see how much it looks like meat? It's really good, it's flavorful, it doesn't have any soy in it, it's just processed. So sometimes I wanna stay away from processed foods, then I'll make the plant-based balls that I showed you guys before. All right, so this is less ingredients, of course, less things to bind it together because it's already binded together through processed. All right, so we have our basil, we have our parsley, a little garlic powder. So almost the same ingredients as before. Oregano, onion powder. Himalayan salt. I keep saying sea salt. It's not sea salt. It's Himalayan pink salt. Jeez. All right, some little ground black pepper and just a little bit of liquid smoke. It already has that meat flavor, but it gives it a little more of the meat flavor, right? And you're just gonna mix that in. Fold method again. And then we're gonna make balls, all right? Okay, so now we're going to scoop the balls out. This is just a old-fashioned ice cream scooper. And roll the balls, pack it as much as possible. There you go. Okay, so the plant-based non-Beyond Meat balls are in the freezer. Going to be in there for about 5 to 10 minutes. I went ahead and placed the Beyond Meat balls in the refrigerator as well, you know, just so they're not laying out while we're cooking. But now, for the most important part that I want to show y'all that I'm so excited about is the spaghetti squash. Look at here. So, this is spaghetti squash after it's been cooked, right? So all you do, guess what? Just pull it apart. Look at that. and it comes out looking like spaghetti noodles. That's all you do. And it has the consistency of a noodle. Look at that. Oh, I can't wait to taste that. So I'm gonna finish this up. This will probably take about a few minutes, but I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up, guys. Look at that. I'm telling you. You can also, substitute it for hash browns. People say it looks like hash browns too. Either or, it has the consistency of spaghetti. So if you want spaghetti, but you don't want all the carbs, this is a really, really good substitute. Okay guys, we're all done now. So we're about to plate the food, all right? So we have our spaghetti squash. I just put it right in the bowl with my hands. A little bit of the arugula spinach mix. You don't have to cook it because all the other items are so hot that it's going to melt it down a little bit. Don't overcook it and it'll be extremely wilted. We're gonna add the plant-based balls. This is the Beyond Meat balls. And then this one is the non-Beyond Meat plant-based balls, right? Plate that. We're gonna put a little mushrooms. I love mushrooms. It's like plant-based meat for us, all right? And then we're gonna place the sauce. I like a lot of sauce on mine. Very meaty. Look at that. Put a little mozzarella on top. A little bit of parsley. And we are done. There we go. This is spaghetti squash with plant-based balls. That's good, guys. That's good. Here's a plant-based meat. And it's low carbs. It's gluten-free, healthy, savory, fresh honey. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. Ingredients will be down below. Please don't forget to subscribe. And thank you for watching The Plant-Based Maven.